Now we're going to solve this trig equation, and notice that in this trig equation it looks really complicated, but you'll notice that this is just sine, let's call this right here A, and let's call 64B. Then we just have sine A cosine B plus cosine A sine B, which is right here. So that's equal to sine of A plus B. So we're going to rewrite this as the sine of 2x plus 64 equals square root of 3 over 2. Notice that they want me to solve it just in one revolution around the unit circle. So now what I would do is I would let that equal u. So when does the sine of u equal root 3 over 2? If you look at your unit circle, it's at 60 degrees, but it's also at, where else?
Cosine 30?
Yeah, you have to be careful with this right here. Alright, so here's the trick to doing these problems. And the way I like to do them is I look right here. That usually gives you an indication of how many times you have to go around the unit circle. I know it says I need to find the answers only in one revolution, but because that's 2x, that means that it's going to go twice as fast. In other words, the period is pi, not 2 pi, right? So it's going to go much more quickly, and so it's going to, in one revolution around the unit circle, it's going to go through root 3 over 2 instead of twice like it normally would. It's going to go through that 4 times. Hopefully that makes sense. So I need to go 60, or let's look at our unit circle. So it's, did we say sine? Yeah. So it's 60 degrees, and it's also 120 degrees, but now let's go around the unit circle again. So add another, to 60 add another 360, and to 120 add another 360. So we've got 60 degrees, we have 120 degrees, we have 420 degrees if I add 360 to that, and we have 480 degrees. So I'm adding 360 to those two things because of that right there, because it's a double angle.
Okay.
The period is smaller, so that means that, think of your typical sine graph, it goes like that in 2 pi typically. Well, now we're doing that entire, we're spanning that between there and there, so we're going like this, which means we're going to go another time around before we get to 360 degrees, which was right there. We're going to go through 2 full periods. Now this might mess it up a little bit, we'll find out with the plus 64, because that actually shifts it over left a little bit, so we may actually need one more even. We might even want to do, well, we'll see. This is probably going to be enough, but you do have to kind of check that. Alright, so u equals those things, but we don't want to solve for u, we want to solve for x. So we're now going to take 2x plus 64, and we're going to set that equal to each one of these things. Equals 60, or 120, or 420, or 480. So x equals, I subtract 64, it's negative 2, which is not one of my solutions. Again, do that for this now. Subtract 64, divide by 2. Do that for all 3 of those. Alright, so those are our 3 answers that actually work, is 28 degrees, 178 degrees, and 208 degrees. Now, I should, to be safe, I should check one more. So remember, I checked 60, I checked 120, and then I checked 420, because that's 360 plus 60. And I should also check one more. I should go around one more time, so add another 360 to that, and you get 780. I should check that just to be safe, and then if I need to, add another 360 to this one to check that. When I do this, when I check this one, and then I subtract 64 and divide by 2, I get 358 degrees, which means 358 is one of my answers. So I do have 4 solutions. This isn't one of them because it's not within my domain, and those are my 3 answers: 28, 178, 208, and 358. Now, here's what I would do if I were you. This is a cool little trick. I always encourage my students to do this. take that entire thing, your original thing, write it in your first store these things in for x. In your calculator, you use the store button, STO, and you store, so you type in 28 store x, and then type this entire expression in carefully and hit enter. It's going to plug x in for that, and then it will give you a decimal approximation, which when you plug that in, just check if those are the same decimal approximation. Then change 28 and store 178 in for x, and hit second enter. It'll give you this formula back, and then hit enter again, and now it plugs in 178 instead of 28. And it's a quick way, and then do the same thing for all of these, just to be super sure that you got that all 4 of those are correct answers, and that's how you can check your answer.